Hello, my fellow humans. Just the other day, I was talking with one of the doctors that I work with. And you don't believe what he was telling me. He leaned in and said, I visit tons of medical offices, and guess what they have in common? Almost none of them are actually HIPAA compliant. I'm like, what do you mean? They all think they're covered because they got this fancy stack of expensive papers with check boxes they filled out, and they filed them away, never to be seen again. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Today, that's what we're going to cover. Now, this conversation took me back to my early days of playing the compliancy game. I remember partnering with one of those done-for-you services. You know, the ones that hand you a stack of papers, have you fill them out and sign them at the end. Maybe like 150 pieces or more. They charge you some outrageous amount of money for the privilege to be working with them. But then there's the $1,000,000 question. Does having a certificate or a thick binder of policies and papers actually make you compliant? I feel with many of these done-for-you services, they create the illusion of compliance. It creates this false sense of security that comes with just documentation, but not being proactive and actually implementing the items that are on those policies to actually be compliant. The compliance landscape is very complex and is always changing, which often leads to companies struggling to keep up. Many organizations find themselves caught in a dangerous gap between compliance and what actions to take. This disconnect leads to some common pitfalls. The belief that having security policies on paper equates to being secure. This compliancy illusion can be very dangerous and misleading, creating a false sense of protection while leaving organizations vulnerable to real-world threats. Let's break down why this illusion is a dangerous area to be in. I'll walk you through each step, and trust me, this could be a game changer for your business. Step 1, from paper to practice. This is where the rubber meets the road, baby. Woo! It's not enough to have a beautiful written policy gathering dust in a folder. We need to bring those policies to life. Implement them in your day-to-day operations. And don't just set it and forget it. Regularly test and validate your controls. It's like having a fire extinguisher. You don't just buy it and hope it works when you need it. Burn the building down, right? You check it, maintain it, and make sure it's ready to go. Step 2, beyond the checkbox. Now this is a big one. We're moving past the old check the box and forget it mentality. Compliance isn't a checklist. It's a mindset. Instead of just checking boxes, we're focusing on real, tangible security improvements. We're prioritizing, understanding, and tackling actual threats. It's about continuous monitoring and improvement. Think of it like fitness. You don't just do one workout and consider yourself fit for life, do you? Step 3, stay ahead of the threats. In this step, we're putting our detective hats on. We're developing systems to gather and analyze threat intelligence quickly. We're keeping our security practices up to date, and we're adapting to new threats as they pop up. It's like being a surfer. You gotta read the waves and adjust your position constantly. The cyber threat landscape is just as dynamic. Step 4, exceed your minimum standards. So here's where we separate the good from the great. We're not content with just meeting the bare minimum requirements. No, we're going above and beyond. We're implementing the best security practices out there. We're proactively assessing and mitigating risk. We're investing in robust, comprehensive security measures. It's like building a house. Do you want one that barely passes the code, or one that can withstand a hurricane? Step 5, foster a security-focused culture. The final step is about making security everyone's business. We're engaging employees at all levels in the security practices. We're providing ongoing awareness training. We're encouraging everyone to be proactive in identifying and addressing risks. It's about creating a culture where security is as natural as locking your front door when you leave home. By following these steps, you're not only creating an illusion of security, you're building a truly effective security posture that can adapt to real-world threats and against evolving risks. Remember, in the world of cybersecurity, it's not about looking good on paper. It's about genuinely securing your practice. So which step are you going to tackle first? We will break down the crucial differences between real active compliance and what I call paper compliance. I'm going to walk you through 5 key areas where these approaches diverge. Trust me, understanding this could be a game changer for your organization's security. First up, let's talk about monitoring. Real compliance involves continuous monitoring and improvement of your security posture and measures. It's like having a security guard who's always on patrol, always alert. But on the flip side, paper compliance is more like having a security manual that sits on the shelf, gathering dust. Which one do you think criminals would prefer? Next, we got adaptability. The cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving, and real compliance evolves with it. It's flexibility, adjusting to new threats as they emerge. Paper compliance? Well, it's about as flexible as a brick wall. It sticks to the same old procedures, even when the world around it has changed. Third point, engagement. Real compliance gets everyone involved, from the CEOs to the newest intern. Everyone plays a part in keeping the company secure. Paper compliance? It treats security as IT department's problem and leaves everyone else in the dark. But here's the thing, security is everyone's business. Let's talk testing. With real compliance, you regularly put your security controls through their paces. It's like doing fire drills. You don't wait for a real fire to find out if evacuation plans work. Paper compliance assumes everything is fine just the way it is because it's written down somewhere. But in the real world, assumptions can be deadly and dangerous. Finally, we've got standards. Real compliance goes above and beyond, exceeding the bare minimum required by regulations. It's about creating It's about creating the best possible security, not just checking boxes. Paper compliance, however, is all about doing the bare minimum to stay out of trouble and using hopium, hoping for the best. So there you have it. 5 key differences between real active compliance and a mere paper compliance. Remember, in the world of cybersecurity, it's not about looking good on paper. It's about truly securing your practice. Which approach is your organization taking? All right, folks, let's bust some myths and clear up some common misconceptions about compliance. I'm going to walk you through 5 big misunderstandings and then show you what real compliance looks like in action. First up, the misconceptions. Documentation equals implementation. This is a big one. Many folks think that if they've got detailed policies written down, they're compliant. But the truth is, having a great recipe doesn't make you a chef. You've got to actually cook the meal. Real compliance means putting those policies into action every single day. Next up, compliance guarantees security. This is a huge, another dangerous myth. Just because you've got a compliance certificate or these papers filled out, all the boxes checked, does not mean you're Fort Knox. Compliance standards often just meet the bare minimum. It's like thinking you're a fitness guru because you can touch your toes. There's a lot more truth to security than just checking boxes. Next up, one-time achievement. Some people treat compliance like a one-and-done deal, but cyber threats are always evolving, and so are regulations. Compliance isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's more like maintaining your health than getting a diploma. Next up, checklist mentality. This ties into the last point. Compliance isn't just about running through a checklist. Sure, the checklist is useful, but it's just a starting point. Real compliance is about understanding the spirit of the requirements, not just the letter. Next, compliance is purely technical. Last but not least, there is this idea that compliance is just an IT thing. But effective compliance needs everyone on board, from the CEO to the newest intern. It's a team sport, not a solo game. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what real compliance looks like in action. Regular security audits. This means going above and beyond required assessments. It's like giving your car a thorough checkup, but not checking the tires. Continuous employee training. Security awareness isn't a one-time seminar. It's ongoing education that adapts as the threat landscape evolves. Think of it like staying fit. You don't work out once and call it done. Proactive threat hunting. This is about actively looking for potential breaches, not just waiting for alarms to go off. It's like checking your house for a leak before it rains, not after your basement floods. Incident response drills. Practice makes perfect. Regularly running through your incident response plan and procedures ensures you're ready for a real-life crisis once it hits. It's like a fire drill. You want to know exactly what to do before there's actual smoke. Adaptive security measures. This means constantly updating your security controls based on new intelligence. The threat landscape is always changing, as your defenses need to change with it. By focusing on these active, ongoing efforts, you're not just checking boxes anymore. You're building a security posture that can help stand up to real-world threats. Remember, true compliance isn't about looking good on paper. It's about truly securing your practice. Which of these concepts have you encountered in your organization? And which one do you think you may need help with? If you're getting value from this so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. All right, folks, let's wrap this up and drive home the key points about HIPAA compliance. First off, let's talk about active compliance versus passive documentation. Think of it like this. Passive documentation is having a great playbook for a football team. We never actually practicing or playing the game. Active compliance, that's getting out on the field, running the plays, and adjusting your strategy based on what's actually happening. Active compliance means that you're not just writing policies, you're living them. You're one with them. You're out there problem solving, allocating resources to ongoing monitoring and audits, and actually fixing issues in your environment as they come up. It's about effectiveness, not just looking good on paper. Trust me, when the regulators come knocking, they're going to be a lot more impressed by what you're doing than what you have written down on paper. Now, there's a crucial point. HIPAA compliance isn't a one and done deal. Let me repeat that. HIPAA compliance is not a one and done deal. It's not like getting your driver's license where you pass the test once and then you're set for years to come. No, it's more like staying in shape. You can't just work out once and consider yourself fit for life. You have to continuously work and build that muscle. HIPAA compliance requires constant vigilance. You need to be continuously monitoring for new risks, regularly training your staff, updating your policies and regulations as they change, conducting periodic audits, and adapting your security measures as cyber threats continue to evolve. It's a dynamic, ongoing process that never really ends. Here's my challenge to you. Take a hard, honest look at your current compliance status. Are you actively implementing and improving your HIPAA compliance? Or are you just relying on a dusty binder of policies? Are you treating compliance as an ongoing process? Or did you check the boxes once and forget about it? The important thing is to start taking action now. Remember, every step you take towards active, ongoing compliance is a step towards protecting your patient's data, and that's what really matters. Every move you make, every step you take. So what's the first thing you're going to do to move from passive documentation to active compliance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start the conversation about real, effective HIPAA compliance. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching till the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below so we can continue the conversation.